I'm often asked about my non-native work. And some of that is the assumption that we're all going to write directly pulling from our experiences or what's closest to our heart. And certainly that's a big part of what I've done too. Due to the fact that I broke into publishing in the late 90s and am still around today, that means that I was actively publishing when the so-called multicultural boom went bust. And that happened in the early '00s. And it was a time when publishing retracted to a very few voices by BIPOC creatives, almost exclusively male voices. It was considered reasonable for there to only be one at each publisher, or perhaps one in the industry in the whole. I was certainly told, we don't need you. We have Joe Bruchac. We don't need you. We have Sherman Alexie, as though they could cover the full spectrum of books for young readers. It should be pointed out that Joe himself was a tremendous advocate to raise up voices, including women's voices, throughout that period of time. That said, I didn't want to stop publishing. And so I turned to other sides of my reading diet. We often tell beginning writing students to write what you know, which would be exhibited in much of my native work, and to write what you love to read. And I've always been a huge geek. I saw Star Wars in the theater, paid admission hundreds of times as a child. Granted, it was at the Dollar Movie for a very long time and it was air conditioned. And my mother thought that this was a valid place for me to spend my time. And so I wrote the Tantalized series and the Feral series. And if you look at them, they're YA. One's a YA Gothic, the other is a YA fantasy sci-fi genre bender. They still touch on social justice issues, gender empowerment. The casts are very diverse. There are Native secondary characters who are involved. And so it was a way of taking on an unfriendly publishing landscape, doing something I genuinely enjoyed that was kid friendly, and continuing to write in those same areas of passion, but doing all of it through the power of a veil of metaphor. So I might not be able to write what contemporary Native tribes are struggling against, but I am able to write about inequities in a world with fantastical creatures, some of whom are marginalized to varying degrees. Is it a straight up equivalency? No, of course not. We're talking about real people versus manifestations, but you can certainly touch on some of the same values and give kids an opportunity to think through them with a little bit more distance that might, in some cases, actually give them space to accept the insights and illumination that comes along with that story.